Part 163. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1621. Based on the nature of the Magic Planet game system, Xiaoming can roughly guess what kind of wearer the magic star attached to the Hades clothes will be more interested in. Their first choice should be the player character. After all, players have strong subjective initiative and can provide unimaginable help to Hades. The most important thing is that the system believes that players are the protagonists of the game. So players have priority most of the time. The second choice is naturally free NPC. Their intelligent program is more advanced. If they become Hades warriors, they can also help Lord Hades solve problems. The worst choice is the NPC of the army. With the simple intelligent program of these guys, they can only be a common man who charges into battle. And the possibility of matching failure is the greatest. In addition, there will be other selection criteria, that is, the race and rank of the wearer. The race that is most suitable for the Hades warrior must be the undead race, and the higher the rank of the wearer, the better. Xiaoming guessed that the system may have special requirements for the rank of the wearer, and must be able to match the corresponding Hades warrior. Especially for the NPC of the army. We know that the earthly stars generally correspond to saints of bronze to silver level, that is, level 5 to 6, while the sky stars correspond to silver to gold level, that is, level 6 to 7, as for the three giants of the underworld, they are all level 8s. If players use their own soldiers to serve as Hades warriors, the rank must be worthy of them. Moreover, at the current stage of the game, mainstream players have just begun to enter the 4th level. The controllable free NPCs are probably at this level. Compared with Hades warriors, they are a bit lower, but the recruited soldiers may be higher. For example, the researcher has the right to recruit level 5 Minotaurs and Treemen. But they are basically sold to the Li family. If the wearer is replaced by a free NPC or player, the system will appropriately lower the standard. Because they have an advantage over the NPC soldiers. Remember that Li Huamei had just been given the seed of the microcosm by Xiaoming, and she had the strength of a silver Saint Seiya, which shows that free NPCs also have great potential. Especially the protagonist type NPCs like Li Huamei, after they comprehend the microcosm, their strength can be rapidly improved. Even players do not have this potential. However, players have a greater advantage, that is, they can get rewards by completing tasks. The rewards for tasks related to the 4 great gods will all contain small universes. So as long as the tasks are done well, it is more reliable to expect the growth of players. After all, there are only a few protagonist type NPCs in the entire game, but there are endless players. In fact, there are also differences between NPCs of different arms. Some specific NPCs have the potential to become free NPCs. There is also the possibility of becoming Hades warriors. The system probably has to weigh the above-mentioned aspects and finally give a conclusion on whether the wearer matches the Hades clothing. But the relevant details will definitely not be made public, and players need to explore it themselves. Xiaoming did not waste time. After thinking for a while, he offered a valuable small universe to Hades and got the first Hades clothing, Earth Demon Star Demon Butterfly. Note that the ownership of this Hades clothing is not in the hands of the deceased, so the deceased cannot wear it. Even if it is forcibly put on, it will not have any effect. This demon star is a master of mental power and has 3 forms: insect eggs, rightward arrow, reptiles, rightward arrow, demon butterflies. The Earth Demon Star Hades warrior can reach a higher form step by step through evolution and gain stronger combat power. Among the Earth generation Hades warriors, he is one of the few who can compete with the Gold Saints. Even Rhadamanthys, one of the 3 giants of the underworld, appreciates him very much. In the first stage of recruiting Hades warriors, the first Hades clothes given by the system is the Earth Demon Star, and it is also intended to provide considerable combat power to the Hades Legion as soon as possible. Although the three giants are powerful, their Hades clothes are also sky high, and players may not be able to afford them. So the system has to disperse them. Arrange them to the 3rd, 6th, and 9th stages. Relatively speaking, the Earth Demon Star Hades clothes are the most cost-effective. Players use the small universe of the Earth Demon Star Hades clothes level to exchange for a Hades warrior who is stronger than most Tiangang stars. Why not? Moreover, this kind of super powerful demon star is very likely to defeat the intelligent program of the player or NPC on the spiritual level and achieve rebirth. Lord Hades also hopes that the first Hades warrior can be a powerful and loyal demon star. From any angle, Earth Demon Star is the best choice. From Xiao Ming's perspective, this is a difficult problem. He knows that this demon star is not easy to deal with. Fortunately, Xiao Ming already has several alternative plans. The first is Plan A. Xiao Ming brought the Earth Demon Star Ghost Messenger who was in the underworld of Quafu into the game. He used the same method as Death Mask back then. Strictly speaking, the Ghost Messenger is actually Xiao Ming's clone and cannot be considered an independent individual. It should be considered a part of Xiao Ming. However, Xiao Ming's Ghost Messenger clone is different. Because it integrates his Mind Beast 108 Pluto guards. The Mind Beast is more independent than the clone. Xiao Ming can't guess whether they can wear the underworld clothes. According to normal rules, it should not be possible. But after all, he integrated the underworld clothes of the Earth Demon Star in the reincarnation world, and the matching degree must be very high. Xiao Ming thinks it's worth a try. If it fails, Xiao Ming plans to adopt Plan B, using the same method he used back then, first devouring, eliminating, the evil star in the Hades clothes, and then looking for a wearer for the Hades clothes. As for Plan C, it is to arrange for the insect humans under his command to enter the game, and then give them the Hades clothes. Anyway, no demon star can be resurrected. As it turns out, the game system may be confused by this complicated relationship, or it may be pretending to be confused. In the end, it actually allowed Xiao Ming's Earth Demon Star Ghost Messenger clone to wear the Earth Demon Star Hades clothes. It can't even be said to be put on. The Ghost Messenger simply swallowed the Demon Star and completely merged the Hades clothes with itself. Not only has the strength been completely restored, but it seems to have improved. If Xiao Ming enters the reincarnation world of the Saint Seiya series again in the future, his Earth Demon Star Ghost Messenger can completely defeat the Earth Demon Star Hades fighters under Hades. Plan A was very lucky to succeed, so the subsequent Plan B, Plan C, can be thrown into the garbage dump. It was busy until that night, and the first batch of 7 Earth Demon Star Hades clothes and 4 Sky Star Hades clothes were also successfully swallowed and merged by Xiao Ming's Ghost Messenger clone, which was a huge profit. Because there is a powerful Earth Demon Star in this batch, the other 11 Hades warriors are not very strong. The combat power is distributed evenly. What is even more unexpected is that Xiao Ming's Ghost Messenger clone can be split into 2. The main body of the clone stays in the Quafu underworld or Quafu planet to do its job, and the secondary body of the clone can play games, without delaying either side. Work and games are blooming. This level can be achieved because Xiao Ming's own strength has been greatly improved after he occupied the world of Great Sword. Xiao Ming is so happy now. He can completely let his Ghost Messenger clone completely replace the 108 Hades warriors in the game. Let's see what tricks Hades can play. Happy New Year and all the best. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1622. Congratulations to the player who told the dead and successfully completed the quest chain The Rebirth of Hades, the 4th Ring Phantom Warrior Recruitment Phase 2. Excellent results, special rewards as follows. Before the main game was suspended at 8 p.m. on November 16, Xiao Ming completed the 4th ring of the quest, and the number of Hades warriors expanded to 24. The 12 Hades warriors in the first phase were led by Earth Demon Star Demon Butterfly, the 12 in the second phase were led by Tianying Star Flame Demon. Tianying Star was responsible for guarding the first prison of the 8 hells of the underworld, the underworld court, where even lies would be seen through immediately. He held the book of life and death, judged the sins of the living, and gave rewards and punishments. In fact, it was mainly punishment, judging which prison the dead should go to for punishment. For example, people who committed crimes of greed would be sent to the second prison, endure endless frost, snow, and rain, and become food for the hell gatekeeper Heberus. And stingy and wasteful sinners were punished in the third prison, rolling boulders forever. In fact, Tianguixing Griffin is the most powerful judge of the underworld among the 3 giants of the underworld. When the 3 giants gather, he is in the center. The first prison is his territory. But as one of the 3 giants, how could he stay in the first prison every day to judge cases? So most of the time, Tianying Yanmo serves as his acting officer. Being able to sit in the first prison of the underworld, Tianying's strength is definitely not to be underestimated. But the main reason why he was resurrected so early is that he can act as the chief judge. Since Lord Hades has been resurrected, he must gradually restore the normal operation of the underworld. Doing his own job will also help him recover his strength. Hades cannot wait until all the Hades warriors, even the Gemini gods, are resurrected before starting to operate the underworld. That would be a bit too late. And for the operation of the underworld, professionals must be resurrected in advance. Among them, Tianying, the acting chief judge of the first prison, is particularly outstanding. It would be better if Tianguixing could be resurrected early, but that is the strongest among the 3 giants. The difficulty and price of resurrection are too high. It is still more economical to go to Tianying Star. Faced with things closely related to his own resurrection, Hades also knows how to be thrifty. The Dead Report completed these 2 rings of tasks with the best results and the most generous rewards. And there is no doubt that Hades also stuffed 2 Pandora soul fragments in. As a result, the upper limit of the small universe of the Dead Report increased by 24,000 points again, and the cornerstone of Hades' temple increased by 4. In addition, there is another reward that seems to be very good. For each successful recruitment stage, the system allows the Dead Report to learn, exchange, a trick of any Hades warrior. According to this reward, after all 9 stages of recruitment are completed, the Dead Report can learn the big moves of 9 Hades warriors. It greatly enhances its combat effectiveness and makes up for the defect that Pandora's Hades cloth has no combat skills. These 9 big moves can produce magical effects if they are planned in advance and matched well enough. Even if they are matched in general, the combat effectiveness is also very good. Of course, the Hades warrior to be learned must be one of the Hades warriors who have been resurrected. Hades warriors who have not been resurrected cannot learn. This can be regarded as a kind of restriction, but it is a pity that it is of little use. Players will definitely not suffer any loss if they learn the moves of the Earth Demon Star among the first batch of Hades warriors. If this reward is given to other players, it will definitely be a super awesome reward. Even Xiao Ming's other 3 characters are very interested in learning moves. They have learned the Heavenly Dance Wheel of the Virgo Shaka, the Light Speed Fist of the Light Star Miyaime, and the 7 Chakras of the Sea Prince Kesura. Only the Dead Announcer is an exception. Because the Hades warriors are all Xiao Ming's Ghost Messenger clones, they are already familiar with their own moves. After swallowing the Demon Star and fusing the Hades clothes again, they have made further progress. There are only some special skills, because Xiao Ming's own realm has not yet been reached, and he cannot comprehend them for the time being. But there are no moves that he wants to learn but cannot learn. If the Ghost Messenger clone can do it, then Xiao Ming will also be able to do it, right? Why spend the Cosmos and Faith points to exchange? No matter how much money you have, you can't spend it carelessly. Of course, learning a few moves is not completely useless. You can add the moves to the skill list of the dead. In the future, even if Xiaoming is not online, the dead can have a few more tricks to spare. However, Xiaoming did not exchange it in the end. On the one hand, he didn't want to contribute more cosmos to Hades, on the other hand, the dead really wouldn't be used in the future. After all, the 108 Hades warriors will be Xiaoming's ghost clones in the future. With them following and protecting, why does the dead need to learn it again? Therefore, Xiaoming gave up this reward. The system is helpless. It can only keep the right to exchange for the dead, hoping that one day the player will change his mind. Probably the system didn't expect that there would be a player who would give up such an excellent reward. Even if there are not many cosmos, you can exchange some cheap moves, which are useful after all. Xiaoming's situation is something that the game creator could never have imagined. The next fifth ring task has changed. The system no longer allows the Death Teller to continue recruiting Hades warriors. Instead, it asks him to build the passage from Hades City to the underworld, Death Stairs. Is this going to be a big infrastructure construction? The method of completing the task is very simple. The Death Teller needs to lead the existing Hades warriors to dig a huge cylindrical deep well together. In order to facilitate the transportation of excavated soil and rocks to the outside, a circular staircase called the Death Staircase must be left on the wall of the well. Otherwise, after digging a few hundred meters deep, the Hades warriors will not be able to come up, and the well will not be able to be dug down. However, the underworld is not buried deep underground. The act of digging a well is just a test of Hades for the Hades warriors. At the same time, it can also eliminate interference. There are other gods on the ground, and their microcosms may interfere with Hades and prevent him from communicating with the underworld. During this period, the deceased must regularly maintain his own microcosm and contact with Hades' microcosm, and assist Hades' microcosm to locate the underworld. There is such a deep well in Hades City in the original book. It is unknown how deep it is, but you can't see the bottom at a glance. But it doesn't seem to be particularly necessary. It is clear that a portal is enough. So the game creation team forcibly made up some reasons and asked players to dig such a thing in Hades City. Test the player's piety. To be honest, the communication between Hades' microcosm and the underworld is the most important part of this mission. But under the condition that Hades is still so weak, the microcosm of the informant must keep up. Be a full-time nanny, responsible for replenishing the microcosm for Lord Hades. Only in this way can Hades have the opportunity to connect the underworld and Hades City. At that time, no matter how deep the informant digs the well, the bottom of the well will automatically become a space gate leading to the underworld. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1623. Tisk, if I had known it was so easy, I would have done it last night. Why wait until today? At about 8 a.m. on November 17, Xiaoming successfully completed the task of building the Death Stairs to inform the dead. I couldn't help but sigh. I thought that this task of digging a well would take at least several days. If the Death Stairs are too short, they will not be impressive and look uncool. However, when he was actually doing the task, Xiaoming found that the system allowed him to use alchemy. There is really no need for more than 20 Hades warriors to dig the ground by hand. Using alchemy, a well of more than 1,000 meters deep can be created in half an hour, and the stairs can also be built in a decent manner. The Death Stairs made of giant stones are not only spacious and majestic, but also have a relatively gentle slope. There are 2 smooth lanes in the middle, and there are exquisite reliefs on the road surface. Looking at the shape of the lane, it seems to be specially prepared for wheelchairs for the disabled. Xiaoming probably saw this style somewhere and made it like this. He never thought that there seemed to be no wheelchair problem in the game. Besides, this is the road to the underworld, and most people probably don't need it. Why do you have to be so fancy? You have nothing better to do. Fortunately, according to Xiaoming, Hades, the god of the underworld, is a god who pays great attention to face projects. To put it bluntly, he is vain and likes to save face. The gorgeous and exquisite decoration should improve his satisfaction. Sure enough, Hades, who was satisfied and refreshed, achieved twice the result with half the effort and was extremely efficient when using the small universe to communicate with the underworld. He quickly connected to the underworld. At this time, the Death Stairs was only more than 1,300 meters deep. In fact, when Hades tried to communicate with the underworld, Xiaoming wanted to mislead him and connect him to his own Quafu underworld. If Hades regarded it as his hometown, he would be completely manipulated by Xiaoming. However, this intention failed. Hades probably did something in his own underworld. After passing through the gate of Quafu's underworld 3 times without entering, he successfully found the underworld that belonged to him. The whole task took less than half an hour. When Xiaoming received the task last night, there were only 20 minutes before the game was suspended, so he did not start to attack the 5th ring task. If he had started to do it at that time, according to today's efficiency, he might have completed the task that night. But Xiaoming considered that the task of recruiting Hades warriors in the first 2 rings was so simple, but it took a lot of time to complete it. This time, it would take a long time to do such a big project, so he decided in 3 seconds to do it tomorrow. It was delayed until the 17th. When Xiaoming got up early to eat today, he found that Ruan Mengmeng always glanced at him, looking like he wanted to say something but stopped, and he couldn't help feeling a little speechless. She has lived in the house for a while, but she still likes to be shy. This girl is always too considerate of others and doesn't want to trouble others. Xiaoming couldn't use his mental power directly to look through his own people's thoughts, so he asked directly. Meng Meng, do you have something to say? Don't be polite, just say it. I'm not bragging to you, there are not many things on this planet that can stump your brother. When talking to his own people, Xiaoming is much more relaxed. And he has been a little proud recently, so he can't help but be a little boastful. Let's see how many good things he has encountered. First of all, Xiaoming has basically solved the problems of the Great Sword World and saved a large number of beautiful girls with noble character and good combat power. He is very happy. Secondly, in the main game of Magic Planet, Xiaoming's 4 game characters have obtained high-level combat professions such as Saint Seiya, and are expected to sit on the throne of the Pope and the North Star, which is very happy. Finally, Xiaoming found that he could use the 108 sets of Hades clothes in the game to strengthen his 108 Hades warriors and ghost messengers. Is there anything more exciting than this? So it is understandable that he is a little boastful now. Anyway, Xiaoming is also boasting at home, and only Ruan Mengmeng is affected. A sage once said, in English, the past tense is used to represent the subjunctive mood, but in Chinese, it is not the case. If you hear someone say I'm not bragging to you, then the next words he says are all in the subjunctive mood. Xiaoming is indeed very strong now, but it is nonsense to say that he can handle everything on Pangu Star. It is still more of a bragging. Not to mention anything else, he can't handle the 12 royal families of Dakin. These families have strong people above S level, and they are plural. Even if Xiaoming fights in the form of a dragon warrior, he may not be able to suppress any royal family. They also have a trump card. However, the things that Miss Mengmeng can think of are unlikely to provoke such a strong person. It doesn't matter if Xiaoming brags. Sure enough, Mengmeng waved her hands repeatedly and said with a red face, "No, young master. That, I just want to take a physics class." The kind of private tutor. The little girl's voice was as soft as a mosquito, almost inaudible, especially when she said the word private tutor. If Xiao Ming wasn't so strong, she might not be able to hear clearly. It turned out that she felt that the physics course in middle school was too difficult recently, and she couldn't get it no matter how hard she tried. So she thought of the special teaching ability of the young master. This ability is very effective, but during the whole teaching process, she needs to wear a delicate student uniform to be seen by the young master, and Meng Meng always feels shy. However, she told herself that getting into college is the most important thing. This difficulty can be overcome. So the two have used the private tutoring ability several times. While doing cram school homework last night, she found the physics subject very difficult. I plan to trouble the young master to give another tutoring class early this morning. Although Ruan Meng Meng is not very strong, he is still very good at observing words and emotions. Especially when observing the young master's emotions, he never makes a mistake. Because Xiao Ming never needs to hide anything at home. Meng Meng could tell at a glance that the young master probably had something to do immediately in the game. When I was having breakfast, I looked excited. She then backed down. I want to talk about it in a few days. But since Xiao Ming took the initiative to ask about it, he even boasted about it. It was naturally impossible for Meng Meng to lie to the young master, so she still said it hesitantly. How could Xiao Ming refuse such a reasonable request from a beautiful girl? The activation ability was explained to Meng Meng for a long time, such as electric current, magnetic field and the like. While I was talking, my mind began to wander. He didn't think of anything colorful, but suddenly thought of questions about the laws of the universe. Within the scope that Xiao Ming comes into contact with, in addition to physical rules, there are also various and extremely large supernatural forces. And different supernatural powers obviously have their own rules. These rules are as real as the rules of physics. Xiao Ming couldn't help but start thinking, how are various rules established? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1624. Due to the improvement of strength, S-level Zhang Xiaoming can indeed have supervision equivalent to that of a high-power microscope without the help of scientific instruments. However, his vision still cannot enter the quantum field, and at most he can roughly see the molecular level. And this is not considered seeing, but sensing it with mental power. Therefore, at Xiaoming's current level, he is not qualified to give a clear answer to the question of the origin of various rules. There is only a little bit of reverie. He has a very subtle feeling, which seems to be described as mysterious. That is, including the rules of physics and chemistry, all kinds of rules in the universe are a bit like mind ability. When the mind ability user shapes his own ability, he actually uses supernatural energy to put fantasy into the real world, which can be said to be wishing for everything. The ability user can only consciously determine the appearance and effect of his mind ability, and can't figure out the principle behind it at all. Everything is spontaneously realized by the supernatural energy of mind power. If people study this seriously, it seems that they can also find some rules. Just like other supernatural energies, magic, spiritual power, etc., some rules can always be explored. But the ultimate truth can never be found. Xiao Ming guessed, the so-called law is nothing more than an established fact created by an extremely powerful existence with the help of source energy. All supernatural energy actually comes from source energy. Source energy is the foundation of all things in the universe. It seems, and probably is not wrong to say that it is a kind of energy that makes your wishes come true. In a word, source energy is the origin of the universe. Source energy can be used to create all things in the world and the laws they need to follow. The more powerful individuals in the universe are, the closer they are to source energy, and they can use part of the power of source energy to realize their wishes. Many so-called blood inheritances come from this. Some powerful people want to pass on their abilities to future generations, so there are all kinds of bloodlines. Of course, such individuals must be very powerful. For example, the ancient powerful dragon who used the time gem to create the reincarnation space. If there really is a creator god, it is probably at this level, right? Xiaoming also thought that when the so-called creator god created the rules, he might not have designed everything well. From macro to micro, every axiom, theorem, and every mathematical formula is clearly written. It seems unlikely. Maybe he just set an ultimate goal, and then the source energy will naturally take care of all the other tedious details. Of course, this is just Xiaoming's vague feeling and random guess. It is not an ultimate conclusion. Again, it's just a little fantasy. After thinking for a while, before the tutoring course ended, Xiaoming's attention had already turned from these fantasies to the very pleasing uniform beauty Ruan Mengmeng. It was probably she who brought good luck to Xiaoming. After logging into the game, the Informer of the Dead successfully completed the 5th ring building the Death Stairs task. Due to the excellent completion of the task, the settlement reward for the Informer of the Dead was as high as 15,000, including a Pandora's soul fragment, and there was also a treasure Pandora's necklace. This necklace is amazing. It is a special treasure. The Hades commander can freely travel between the human world, the underworld, and the Pure Land, in the main game, with this necklace. Xiaoming put it on with great interest and set off to broaden his horizons. In fact, Xiaoming is quite familiar with Hades' underworld. Previously, in the reincarnation world of Saint Seiya, after the Holy War, Xiaoming once cut a large piece of the underworld and packed it away, which later became the predecessor of Quafu's underworld. So the layout of Quafu's underworld is almost exactly the same as Hades' underworld, with 8 hells, 3 valleys, 10 trenches, 4 circles, and so on. However, there should be an extra Pure Land in the underworld in the game. In fact, the Pure Land is not in the underworld. Legend has it that after crossing tens of billions of lights and hundreds of billions of darkness, the world finally arrived is far upstream of the Baikang River and on the other side of the Forgotten River. There is a vast wilderness, which is the place created by Hades, the god of the underworld. It is a paradise that only those chosen by God can go to after death. A world without pain and hunger, war, and sadness, which can free people from all troubles, that is the Pure Land of bliss. Back then, this place was destroyed in the Holy War before Xiaoming arrived in the underworld. I have never seen it. Today is a great opportunity. Unless the Pure Land of bliss in the game is also destroyed. The deceased left the group of 12 Hades warriors of the Earth Demon Star and the Demon Butterfly to guard Hades City, and led the group of Hades warriors of the Heavenly Hero Star and the Flame Demon to pass through the space gate at the bottom of the Death Stairs, Gate of Hell. In theory, there is no light in the underworld, and Hades warriors see things by feeling. Of course, this is not necessary in the game. In addition to the overall dim color tone of the underworld, there is not much difference from the human world. Not far from the Gate of Hell, the Hades warriors came to the Agran River in front of the first hell. The Akiran River is also called the Styx or the River of Three Paths. The riverbank is crowded with all kinds of dead souls. The ferryman is responsible for taking them to the other side of the river. But not all of them can cross the river. Those who have neither merits nor mistakes, and have lived a mediocre life, cannot cross the river. In addition, the dead who have no money cannot cross the river either. They can only groan and wander by the Akiran River forever. Hades was resurrected initially, but he was far from regaining consciousness. Today, in order to open the Gate of Hell and connect Hades City to the underworld, he consumed a lot of small universes. All of a sudden, the small universe he had finally collected from the informant was consumed. For other things, Hades could just take advantage without paying. In fact, he had been doing this in the previous few missions. However, opening the passage between the underworld and the human world was extremely important for his complete resurrection. Hades must go all out. The consequence was that Lord Hades, as the lord of the underworld, was simply unable to guide his subordinates to do things at this time. Just let the sheep go, you go, and have fun, I need to rest for a while. The informant saw the troubles of the underworld at a glance. There were no ferrymen on the Agran River. All the dead souls were wandering aimlessly by the river like headless flies. Some dead souls couldn't bear it anymore and went into the water to swim across the river. However, the water of the Styx is much lighter than the water in the world of the living, and it is known as the Yuchan River. Unless they use the ships of the underworld, it is almost impossible for the dead to cross, and the ignorant dead will be completely eroded by the water of the Styx over time. Why does this statement sound a bit like the quicksand river? In short, the normal operation of the underworld has been stuck since the first step. There are almost no dead souls in the 8 hells, 3 valleys, 10 trenches, and 4 circles behind. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1625. It's finally my turn to show my power. A Hades warrior danced the oar in his hand behind him, forming a flower cluster, spread his legs, stretched his left hand forward, and posed what he thought was a handsome pose, pretending to be cool. He is Tianjiangxing ferryman. His Hades clothing itself comes with a ferry and oars, which can ferry the dead on the Styx. For a long time, Tianjiangxing Hades warriors rarely participated in the Holy War. He was responsible for ferrying the dead to the other side of the Styx. By the way, he made some pocket money. Some people may ask, since they are all dead, who can go to hell with money? What can you use as the money to cross the river without money? Of course, it is because the relatives of the deceased in the world will send money down. There is a custom of burning paper money for the dead in China. The custom in the West is to cover the eyes of the dead with coins when burying them. Other races have similar situations. So unless the family is really very poor, most dead can afford the boat fare to cross the river. I just don't know how this money will be reflected in the game. Of course, Tianjiangxing's Hades warrior failed miserably in pretending to be cool this time. The reason is that Tianjiangxing's Hades clothes are, to be honest, quite ugly and look like the costumes of clowns in a circus. Wearing this Hades clothes, it is really not suitable to pretend to be cool. Besides, there is no audience at all. The surrounding undead are in a state of confusion. Not to mention that he just posed. Even if he ran naked now, no undead would care. Of course, there are living people nearby, that is, the dead and the other 11 Hades warriors. But these guys are Xiao Ming's clones like Tianjiangxing. What a joke, can you pretend to be cool for yourself? If Tianjiangxing didn't have a little bit of mind beast in him, which made him have a little bit of independent consciousness, he probably wouldn't show off like this today. His first passengers were the dead and the Hades warriors. The dead are to be inspected in the underworld, and Tianyingxin Yanmo must immediately go to the first prison to be responsible for the trial. Otherwise, even if the ferryman ferries all the dead souls across the Styx, if no one judges them, they will continue to wander by the river. By the way, the underworld clothes of Tianjiangxing are relatively ordinary in terms of combat, and more functions are reflected in their main job ferryman of the dead souls. The ferry that comes with the underworld clothes is not an ordinary ship. It seems to have a very wide space inside, which can ferry a large number of dead souls at one time. Otherwise, the underworld cannot operate normally. In the main game, there are hundreds of thousands of new dead souls on the magic planet every day. If the ferryman can only transport a few dead souls across the Agran River at a time, he will be exhausted and can't finish all the work. So the ferry of the underworld fighter of Tianjiangxing seems to have been cast with a magic traceless stretching spell, and it is not too crowded to stuff thousands of passengers in it. After getting off the boat and landing, 11 Hades warriors surrounded the deceased and came to the empty and dilapidated first prison, Underworld Court. My goodness, this palace has collapsed in half and it is impossible to work. If it weren't for the fact that Lord Hades has been lingering on, I'm afraid even this half of the palace can't be saved. Xiao Ming sighed, took out a cornerstone of the Hades temple, and activated the source energy to repair the underworld court. This time he learned his lesson. He told Xiao Er, Xiao San, Xiao Si and others in advance to quickly buy most of the gold coins into goods and hoard them. In addition, all sales of goods were suspended to ensure that he only had about 2 million in cash. He couldn't let Hades cheat him again. Xiao Ming's behavior of preparing for a rainy day really brought a rich reward. Lord Pluto, or the system, did have the intention of building the underworld court on a large scale. Think about it, even Hades City on the ground, the Pluto was willing to spend a lot of money to renovate it, then as the first prison of the underworld, it must be built beautifully. Unfortunately, a good cook cannot cook without rice. The gold coins and resources of the plaintiff can only barely meet the minimum standard for repairing the underworld court. Pluto probably gritted his teeth and accepted this result. The plaintiff was very happy. He didn't spend more money, but he made a fortune. The underworld court had just been repaired, and Tianying Star Yan Mo immediately moved in and started working. Because in just a short while, Tianjian Star Ferryman had pulled a boat of about 30,000 dead souls over. It was a densely packed area. The same reason as the ferryman, the trial work of Tianying Star will not be like in reality, where one prisoner is tried one by one. That is too busy. When there are many dead souls waiting for trial, Tianying Star can also try thousands of dead souls at a time. It can be said that in the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of dead souls were stuffed into the 2nd to 7th hells to receive the punishment they deserved. You know, each hell in the underworld is very vast, and it will not seem crowded even if hundreds of millions of dead souls are stuffed in. A few thousand dead souls are just a drop in the bucket. The only thing to worry about is that these hells are not guarded at all, and the dead souls may run away from the place of punishment without paying attention. In fact, it is not good for the dead souls to run away. After all, after receiving punishment, these dead souls can be reincarnated. Once you escape punishment, you will lose the opportunity to reincarnate. You can only wander in the infinitely vast underworld in a daze until your soul dissipates. If you have a little bit of reason, you won't choose such an ending. Unfortunately, the dead are not very rational. They may instinctively escape because the punishment is too painful. Therefore, each hell in the underworld needs Hades warriors to serve as guards. This is actually for the good of the dead. The guards can catch those dead who subconsciously want to escape the punishment and let them continue to accept the punishment, but also keep the right to reincarnate and prevent them from sinking. The Hades warriors who serve as guards in each hell are naturally the top masters among Hades warriors. Their chances of resurrection are scattered in different batches. In the first 2 batches, there are only 2 Hades warriors with formal careers in the underworld, Tianying Xing and Tianjiangxing. It is impossible for the other masters to be resurrected so early. But their work can be temporarily handed over to other Hades warriors. The work of guarding is not as demanding as the work of judging. Basically, Hades warriors with combat effectiveness can serve as guards. Therefore, among this batch of Hades warriors who followed the deceased into the underworld, 6 were divided to temporarily manage the 2nd to 7th hells. Of course, they are not as competent as the original guards, but now there is no such high requirement. Even Hades, the king of the underworld, has only been resurrected initially, and there are only a few Hades warriors in total, so we can only make do with these guys for now. It is estimated that it will not take too long to deal with it. Judging from Xiao Ming's speed in completing tasks and the tasks of Hades' team, the resurrection of the entire Hades army is just around the corner. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet online game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1626. The deceased arranged for the Hades warrior Tenjiangxing ferryman to transport the dead back and forth on the Styx, sent Tianyingxing emperor to guard the first hell, the Hades court. Even the second to seventh hells have different Hades warriors temporarily guarding. Why is the eighth hell missing? This is what happened. In the original work of Saint Cecilia, the eighth hell is also called the River of Weeping or the Ice Hell. Those who commit the most serious crime of attempting to rebel against God will fall here and never be reborn. As the king of the underworld, Hades naturally made some moves on his territory, and almost all the saints who have been loyal to the goddess Athena in the past have been buried here. In theory, the warriors who participated in the holy war between gods cannot be regarded as such sinners. After all, Hades also has subordinates, and they will also take action against other gods, mainly the goddess Athena. If it is fair and just, those Hades warriors should also be punished here. But Hades is such a shameless god who is lenient with himself and strict with others. He doesn't care whether it is fair or not, and uses the ice hell to punish other gods' warriors. Although the number of saints of all generations is the largest, many sea warriors and god warriors also sleep here, and other gods can do nothing about it. Perhaps because of the loss of fairness and justice, Hades became the only Olympus god who was killed in the original work. Poseidon, the Sea King, was just sealed. Xiaoming knew what was going on in the eighth hell, so he planned to come and see the situation first, and then decide whether to send Hades warriors to guard it. In fact, he was just planning to pick up the bargain. If the souls of the dead saints of all generations are really imprisoned here, Xiaoming wants to try to resurrect them and use them for himself. Unfortunately, the system did not leave such a loophole for him. The ice hell, like other hells, is already empty. What saints of all generations? Not a single one was seen. It is estimated that they have all been scattered. However, among the new undead, there were a few who committed the sin of disrespecting the gods and were thrown into the weeping river by Tianyingxing and were frozen firmly. Therefore, the eighth hell is actually the easiest to guard. All the undead who committed crimes are frozen. It is impossible for them to run away by themselves. It is almost the same whether there are Hades warriors to guard it. However, Xiaoming felt that since the other 7 hells were guarded by Hades warriors, it seemed not good to leave this place empty. So he randomly selected the most useless Hades warrior, Frog from Daikixing, to temporarily guard the ice hell. After this decision was made, the system responded immediately. Congratulations to the player for reporting the dead and completing the 6th ring of the hidden task chain, the rebirth of Hades, the orange epic hidden task initial restoration of the order of the underworld. The rewards are as follows. Xiaoming shrugged helplessly and spread his hands. He had expected this result a long time ago. In the process of recruiting the second batch of Hades warriors, the system gave the Hades clothes of Tianying and Tianjian. Xiaoming knew very well that these 2 Hades clothes represented part of the duties of the underworld. Then, under the instruction of Hades, the dead person built the Death Ladder and Hell Gate, allowing Hades warriors to travel freely between the underworld and the human world. It would be unreasonable for Xiaoming not to understand such an obvious hint. The system clearly wants players to find a way to make the underworld work again. That's why Xiaoming operated the dead person in a series of actions. To be honest, only Xiaoming would find such a hint obvious. Most players have only heard of Hades warriors, but have never seen them. They don't know the details of Hades warriors. People don't know the duties of Tianying and Tianjian, so they naturally won't think about restoring the operation of the underworld. So the difficulty of this hidden task is not low, and the rewards of 12,000 points of small universe and a temple cornerstone are well deserved. This reward is still a small matter. The most important thing is that after completing the hidden task of the 6th ring, the task of the 7th ring is no longer a hidden task, and it is directly issued to the informer. The system has returned to the regular task of recruiting Hades warriors, but the difficulty of this task has reached the red legendary level. Because, among the Hades warriors to be recruited this time, there is Tianmengxing Wyvern, one of the three giants of the underworld. Moreover, he is ranked first in the recruitment order. If a fighter who can wear this underworld clothing cannot be recruited, the entire task chain will be stuck here. Can you imagine how difficult it is to do this task normally? The three giants of the underworld are all S-level 8th level strength. Such a master would be a big boss in the real world. There are only a handful of free NPCs with such strength in the game. Even NPCs of the 8th level of the army are rare. Now let the Informer of the Dead, who has just been promoted to the 4th level, go to the game to find a warrior with similar strength. Isn't this difficult? It is difficult for a level 4 player to get to know a level 8 NPC, let alone recruit him. In fact, this kind of task should only be on the stage of world history in the later stages of the game. At that time, the level of the top professional players will basically be around level 7 or 8. Recruiting NPCs of similar levels will make the task much easier. And by that time, who would be willing to give such precious three giants underworld clothes to NPCs? It must be for players to wear them. At this stage, the appearance of this task is simply beyond the scope. It is like giving junior high school students the questions for the college entrance examination. How can it not be difficult? But then again, the reason why this task appeared in advance is because Xiaoming cheated. Then it can't be discussed according to common sense. Anyway, the task of Hades's lineage is not very stressful for Xiaoming. The Heavenly Star Underworld clothes will naturally be worn by the Heavenly Star Ghost Messenger. Although the Heavenly Star Ghost Messenger clone who is in the Quafu Underworld at this moment is still hovering around the 7th level a level, far from reaching the 8th level. Xiaoming is not sure whether he can get the recognition of the Heavenly Star Underworld clothes in the game. After all, there is still a big gap in hard strength. If this cannot be passed, then the deceased will probably be stuck here for a while. Fortunately, the system thinks that the Heavenly Star Ghost Messenger is at this level. Present the two-legged flying dragon underworld clothes, please accept it. Wow! The underworld clothes of the three giants. The 8th level equipment was given as soon as it was said. Xiaoming was a little confused. He estimated that the creator of the game might think that this task is indeed too difficult, and it is understandable to reduce the difficulty of the tasks in the later stages of the game. After all, by then, the main selling point of the Magic Planet game has changed from a battle of wits and courage between players and the system to an open and secret struggle between players. There is no need to make the tasks too difficult for the players. Xiaoming's Tianmengxing ghost clone hurriedly put on the Hades clothes and began to absorb the magic stars in the Hades clothes. At the same time, he felt fortunate for his good luck. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1627. In fact, Xiaoming was able to wear the Hades clothes of the three giants with the A-level Heavenly Star Ghost Messenger, and this was not just good luck. The system or Hades let it go because if the wearer of the Hades clothes, candidate, is a little weaker, it will be more helpful for the demon star in the Hades clothes to successfully seize the body and be reborn. The opponent is too strong, what if the demon star can't handle it? Of course, it doesn't work if the candidate is too weak. If the opponent can't bear a certain degree of consumption of the Hades clothes, there will not be enough time for the demon star to erode the opponent. Please note that after Hades releases the Hades clothes and the demon star, whether he can successfully seize the body can only be discovered after his own strength recovers to a good level. At present, his strength is still too weak, and he can't detect that the demon star has been swallowed. The system knows, but it will definitely not tell him. He is a referee and can't interfere blindly. The 24 Hades warriors and ghost messengers provided by Xiaoming before were relatively strong. The success rate of the demon star seizing the body is not very high. From Hades's perspective, only the ghost messenger of Tianmengxing this time is the perfect candidate. The strength of A level is just right, and the real resurrection of Tianmengxing is just around the corner. Unfortunately, this time, Lord Pluto was too smart and was exploited by Xiaoming. The ghost messenger of Tianmengxing himself could not subdue the demon star and Hades' clothes, but he had Xiaoming as a big backer. No matter how strong a person is, he will be scared when he encounters a cheater. The demon star of the three giants is nothing more than a large meat bun in Xiaoming's eyes. Hey, the demon star is a meat bun, then what is he? Pa pa pa. It took Xiaoming several hours to devour the demon star of Tianmengxing. In the game, a few hours is a long time. Most players don't have such long patience. But it is much easier for Xiaoming to subdue the demon star in the reincarnation world of Saint Seiya than in the past. At that time, even if he was in Kunlun and cut off the connection between the demon star and Hades, Xiaoming would need a month to subdue a mere Dian star demon star. Now, Hades has just resurrected and can't help the demon star. Xiaoming only needs a few hours to subdue one of the three giants. Isn't this gap too big? In fact, this result is normal. First of all, Xiaoming's strength is more than a little stronger than that time, and the demon star in the game is just a younger brother compared to the demon star in the reincarnation world. With the increase and decrease of one, it is naturally easy to deal with it. Unfortunately, due to the huge gap between the Tianmengxing ghost messenger and the three giants, after digesting the corresponding demon star, he only improved a small step to the advanced level of A level, and still failed to rush to S level. It doesn't matter, this is enough. One more powerful 7th level master will provide him with great help when the intelligent program Xiao Wu is in charge. More importantly, this success is enough to prove that even the demon star of the three giants of the underworld can be subdued by himself, and there will be nothing to be afraid of in the future. The only ones stronger than the three giants are Pandora, the twin gods, and Hades himself. A few days ago, the dead person completed Hades' awakening mission and obtained Pandora's underworld clothes. After that, he swallowed Pandora's soul fragments several times in a row. Xiaoming probably realized that a hidden line of resurrecting Pandora was broken by himself. As long as Hades continues to take Pandora's soul fragments as rewards, she will not be resurrected. Since Pandora's underworld clothes and the underworld clothes of the gods of sleep and death all appeared in the mission rewards that time, it means that the three of them are in a similar situation. Hypnos, the god of sleep, and then Atos, the god of death, are also waiting in line for resurrection. According to the current situation, the resurrection mission of the twin gods will most likely fall into his hands. What's the point of resurrecting them? They will also be cold. These masters cannot pose a threat. As long as he can slow down Hades' resurrection progress indefinitely, the entire underworld forces in the game will be controlled by the dead person. This kind of thing is exciting just thinking about it. Isn't this what Canaan did in the original work? All the Gemini gold saints are twins, and Canaan is Saga's twin brother. By chance, he deceived the sealed Poseidon, and Canaan controlled the entire power of the undersea temple. This achievement is quite remarkable. He is worthy of being the man who deceived God. Now that Ka is there, Xiaoming also has the opportunity to achieve the same achievement in the game. And it is even more impressive, because Hades' power and reputation are several chips stronger than Poseidon. If he successfully deceives Hades, I wonder if the system will give him a title, called the man who deceives God. This is a bit of a brain hole, but the possibility is not low. Xiaoming currently has a plan that is not very complete to deceive and control Hades, the king of the underworld. It was thought of when the deceased just got the Pandora necklace. In the original work, Hades has always hidden his true body in the Pure Land. Usually he always appears in the underworld as a soul, commanding the actions of Pandora and the Hades warriors. He once coveted the body of Shun, one of the 5 bronze warriors. He used it as a carrier to carry his soul in the outside world. If the creator of the game would pay tribute to the original work, Xiaoming estimated that there might be a body belonging to Hades in the pure land of bliss behind the underworld. And Hades' soul has a vague sense of his own body, so when communicating with the underworld yesterday, he avoided Xiaoming's many interferences and identified the correct underworld. The Pandora necklace is a treasure that allows the deceased to go to the Pure Land. This is a rare opportunity. As long as he reaches the Pure Land, Hades' body will be at his disposal. The sooner this matter is done, the easier it will be to succeed. Once Hades' microcosm recovers to a certain extent in the later stage, Xiaoming may not have a chance. Now is an excellent window period. Yesterday, Hades consumed a lot of microcosms to build a channel connecting the human world and the underworld. This period is almost his weakest time. Take advantage of his illness to kill him. Hades never expected that the first believer who had made great contributions to him was a man with ulterior motives. He even coveted his body. But who can he blame for this? Xiaoming not only resurrected Hades, a great god, but also resurrected Athena, Odin, and Poseidon. Xiaoming did not show any covetousness or conspiracy towards the three gods. They maintain a mutually beneficial relationship, without any conflicts. He used such a sinister and vicious family extermination plan against Hades, for no other reason than self-defense. Because Hades actually started the feud between them. Hades hid a trick in the Hades clothes rewarded to the deceased, intending to arrange for his subordinates to take over the player's game character. If Xiaoming does not fight back, will he still be kept for the new year? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1628. After passing through the ice hell, the characters of the dead accuser came to a majestic palace, in front of the ruins. Among the ruins, there seemed to be a half-dragon statue lying there. This is the first of the 4 circles after the 8 hells of the underworld, Cain Ring. It is ruled by one of the 3 giants, the Sky Star Wyvern Hades warrior. Now it is just a ruin. The Sky Star Ghost Messenger had an idea in his mind, planning to restore this palace. The difficulty of this matter is not high. In the early stage, only 1 Hades temple foundation stone and a batch of resources are needed. Foundation stones can be used to build new Hades temples, or to strengthen old Hades temples, including special castles such as Hades City. The more the better. Xiaoming has several temple foundation stones. They are all rewards for repeated tasks. He saved them temporarily and did not use them immediately. Mainly because the dead accuser is busy now and has no time to do anything else. Secondly, Xiaoming intends to think twice before taking any reward from Hades, and wait and see. Lest there be any tricks hidden in it. As for the Temple of Hades, there is a Hades city that is enough for now. Xiaoming does not even plan to build an ordinary Hades temple, let alone restore the palace of the 3 giants. Then, the deceased and others crossed the 2nd circle Antenor Ring and the 3rd circle Ptolemy Ring, which were also full of ruins, and finally came to the palace of the 4th circle Judah Ring. This is Hades' residence in the underworld, and it is also the only Hades temple in the underworld that has retained its main body intact. The manager of this palace is Hades himself. The twin gods may have half the power of the owner, but the deceased, as the commander of the Hades Legion, does not have supreme power here. Under normal circumstances, Hades' microcosm will always pay attention to this place. The hostile informant will be exposed under the close attention of Hades here. Then Hades will use his own microcosm to pit the informant in this temple, his home. The wealthy Hades has prepared a lot of advanced means inside the palace of Judah Ring. If it is activated, Xiaoming will have to work hard to pass. However, Hades now trusts the informant almost completely and does not pay attention to this place at all. The key is that he is overconsumed and is now resting and recovering, and does not have enough energy to pay attention. Several Hades warriors led by Tian Mengxing followed the informant, ignoring the statue in the center of the palace, and walked all the way to the deepest part of the palace-wall of size. Even if the entire underworld is in ruins, this wall still stands tall. Time has not left a trace of scars on it. The wall of size is the boundary between the pure land of bliss and the underworld. Only God can pass through it. No matter how powerful the energy impact is, it will remain unscathed. All beings except God can only sigh at it in despair. But it is not completely impossible to break through. In the original work, the power of the 12 gold saints was gathered, and the microcosm and their own lives were burned with all their strength to create the light of hope in the darkness and a ray of sunshine in hell. This ray of sunshine opened a tunnel in the center of the wall of size. Because the natal constellations of the gold saints are exactly the 12 constellations that the sun's trajectory passes through on the ecliptic plane. The holy clothes absorbed the powerful energy of the sun, but after the passage was opened, all the 12 gold saints died. After that, the 5 bronze warriors, as the protagonists, could pass through the tunnel and come to the intersection of the underworld and the pure land of bliss. But there is a distorted, chaotic and disordered super time and space, and normal people will die soon in it. The 5 little strong men relied on the powerful protagonist halo and the blessing of the blood of the goddess Athena to pass through the endless twisted space and reach their destination. Ordinary people can't do it at all. Fortunately, the dead teller doesn't need to do such a difficult and dangerous thing. He has the identity of the commander of the Hades Legion and wears the Pandora necklace. Hades allows the dead teller to cross the wall of size at will and reach the pure land of bliss. Of course, the other Hades warriors and ghost messengers don't have this privilege. They can only wait for the dead teller to return at the wall of size. And the dead teller didn't encounter the terrifying twisted space. Since there is a privilege, there is no need to be so troublesome. After the dead teller passed through the wall of size, he stood directly in the pure land of bliss. In theory, there is no death, no sadness, and no troubles in the pure land of bliss. Only the purest souls chosen by God can reach this world after death. Being chosen by God is also a privilege. Like the dead teller, they all went directly through the wall of size to the pure land of bliss. Even if the Creator, Lord Hades, and the twin gods are gone, this place should not be empty. At least the souls who once lived here should continue to live here without worries. But this is not the scene that the deceased saw. There are no living creatures in the pure land, and the beautiful garden in the legend is nowhere to be seen. There are only endless rocks and sand. The reason is simple. Hades is the creator of the pure land. He is in a half-dead state, and naturally unable to maintain the normal operation of the pure land. Everything is decaying. In the reincarnation world, it was because Hades died that the pure land and the underworld collapsed one after another. Xiao Ming was able to pick up a big bargain and pack up a large piece of the underworld and take it away. In the game, Hades is not dead and is still lingering. So the pure land and the underworld are also in the same half-dead state. The only thing that can barely remain intact is the temple of Hades in the center of the pure land. Even more magnificent than the palace in the Ring of Judas in the underworld. It consists of dozens of palaces of different sizes. The palace with the largest central seat must be the residence of Hades himself. There are slightly smaller palaces on both sides, most likely the bedrooms of Hypnos, the god of sleep, and Anatus, the god of death. Other lower palaces are naturally prepared for those pure souls after death. Hades is also interesting. Even the warriors who were loyal to him were not qualified to live in the pure land after they died. Instead, the souls of some humans with little fighting ability could come here to live for a long time. It's really strange. The 3 gods' palaces formed a huge square in the center. The various statue decorations in the square have declined. Only 2 things remain. One is a round stone pillar hundreds of meters or even thousands of meters high. The magical legend of Hades is carved on the side of the stone pillar, and the statue of Hades is on the top. The other is a large kettle as tall as a person. At first glance, Xiaoming thought it was just a decoration. But if you think about it carefully, if it were a decoration, it would have returned to dust long ago. This big kettle still exists today, which shows that it is absolutely extraordinary. Be sure to study it carefully when you have time. The most important thing right now is to find Hades' body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1629. Xiaoming's game character, the Dead, stayed in the Pure Land for 3 days. It was not until noon on November 20th that he leisurely passed through the Wall of Sighs and returned to Hades' underworld. During this process, he did not complete any hidden tasks and did not receive any rewards recognized by the system, but his face was still full of bright smiles. He was quite satisfied with the results of these 3 days. It took the Dead about half a day to find the place where Hades' body was. In fact, there is an inconspicuous tomb at the bottom of the towering stone pillar, and Hades' body should be lying in it. Why should it be? Because the Dead can't get in at all. The tomb was sealed by Hades with divine power. The means used were at the level of the main god of Olympus, and it is still very solid. Xiaoming spent another half a day, but still couldn't unlock the seal. Finally, he realized that his strength was not enough. If only he were a little stronger. Suddenly, my buddy had an idea and thought of a good way. Exit the game first, merge with Xiao Xiao in reality to become a dragon warrior, and then log into the game again. This time, his strength finally barely passed. Xiaoming in his prime is roughly equivalent to the Gemini god. He can still deal with the seal left by Hades that has been worn away by time for a long time. 30 hours later, Xiaoming completely consumed Hades' seal with a powerful and continuous energy attack. The door of the tomb opened. The space of the tomb is not large, and there is only a coffin made of some kind of transparent crystal. In the coffin lies a very handsome body, which is the body of Hades, the king of the underworld. No matter from which angle you look at it, it is so flawless. The body is also wearing high-end, atmospheric, and upscale Hades' underworld clothes, and there are 3 pairs of huge black wings behind the underworld clothes. The hands of the body are folded in front of the chest, holding a black big sword. It is undoubtedly a divine weapon at first glance. Wow! I made a fortune! Xiaoming, with excitement, stretched out his hands to the coffin. Then he was mercilessly slapped in the face by the game system. The coffin could not be opened. Pluto's coffin has another layer of seal, which is more advanced, denser, and stronger than the outer layer. Even with the power of the Dragon Warrior, it cannot be destroyed. The 10th level divine object Pluto's sacred body is sealed here, and players below level 8 are prohibited from touching it. No wonder it can't be broken no matter what. This is the highest seal of the game system, which has nothing to do with Xiaoming's own energy. Before the deceased reaches level 8, this coffin is not allowed to be opened at all. Oh, Xiaoming said, I am very unhappy. I didn't expect that after going through hardships, I came to the Pure Land in advance with the advantage of intelligence. It turned out to be a waste of time. Whoever it is, I guess they will be very unhappy. At least give something, or a hidden task, to show your appreciation. It would be reasonable if the players did not come in vain. It was too much to just ban players below level 8 from contacting Xiaoming and ruin all his efforts. If that was the case, wouldn't it be better to simply not allow the deceased to enter the Pure Land, or even the tomb? Why let me in? Yes. Why did the system allow me to come in? Could it be, I understand. There is something fishy here, or there is a place to tamper with it. Xiaoming walked around the small tomb n times, knocking around Hades' coffin and checking various details. After dozens of minutes, he finally found the clue. It was only the coffin that was tightly sealed and protected by the system. The jade base under the coffin was not protected. Although the jade material of the base was also very hard, it was not difficult for Xiaoming, who was in the prime of the dragon warrior. He used alchemy to separate the base, and used mental power to lift the base, and also lifted the coffin. Just like that, he left the tomb. It's amazing. It turns out that breaking the seal of the tomb is not in vain. Although we still can't touch Hades' sacred body, we can move the coffin and the base together. As for where to put it after moving it away, Xiaoming thought about it, opened the bright summit space in the game, and stuffed the coffin in. According to the rules, Xiaoming is not allowed to store living things in the bright summit in the game. But Hades' divine body has lost its soul for too long, and the system chooses not to count it as a living thing. Xiaoming himself failed to devour Hades' divine body, but he can hide his body, and Pluto will not be able to find his body if he wants to revive it completely in the future. Unless Hades has the ability to break the bright summit of the deceased. This is a space-based telepathic ability. It is simply difficult for Hades, who plays a small universe, to crack it. Of course, if Hades can restore his peak strength, he must be far above Xiaoming now. It is not impossible to break through the bright summit. But their era ended N years ago. The 12 main gods of Olympus have occasionally resurrected, but they have never recovered to their peak strength. Except for Athena, Poseidon, and Hades, the situation of the other main gods is probably similar to their previous situation, or even worse. They are all in a state of lingering. Being able to wait for hundreds of years for an opportunity to revive is already an amazing performance of the main gods of Olympus. Even if a centipede dies, it is possible for the death of a god to be delayed for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Athena, Poseidon, and Hades will wait for the opportunity to revive. But wanting to return to the peak state is completely wishful thinking. Other gods in the game may not agree. So Xiaoming is not worried at all that Lord Pluto will return to the peak strength and take back his body. Without his own sacred body, he can't return to the peak. Let's take a step back. Even if Lord Pluto is lucky enough and overcomes all difficulties and dangers, he can still recover his peak strength even without a body. But at that time, I don't know how many decades the game has been running. It's not certain whether Xiaoming is still playing the game. Even if he is still playing the game, as long as he doesn't log in to report the dead and doesn't allow the intelligent program to log in to report the dead, there will be no problem at all. If the player doesn't go online, what can the NPC do to the player? It's still powerless. Besides, decades later, Xiaoming's strength in reality may not be able to break through to a very high level. But in the game, he can probably upgrade to level 10. He broke the seal of the coffin and swallowed Hades' body. How could he leave it to Hades? Although Xiaoming's current strength in reality is far superior to that of the game character, there is a limit to how much strength can be improved in reality. From the time he became Quafu Hades, it was very difficult for Xiaoming to make every step forward. Games are different. As long as the player is willing to spend time and energy to complete tasks, kill monsters, and level up, he can reach level 10 sooner or later. This is the charm of the game. Xiaoming is looking forward to it. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1630. In addition to the coffin containing Hades' body, the informant also took another thing from the Pure Land, which is the large kettle in the temple square. Although Xiaoming was unable to identify what it was estimated that it was definitely not an ordinary item. The system did not want to tell the player that it could not be identified. So the informant spent a lot of effort and stuffed it into Guangmingding. Anyone who knows the original work of Saint Seiya knows that this is a magic bottle, which Hades uses to absorb the blood of the goddess Athena. However, this is a secret information that can only be discovered at the end of the main storyline. Players who know this matter keep this information to sell for money and are reluctant to pass it on. And in the Saint Seiya world that Xiaoming experienced, because of his efforts, Athena, Odin, and Poseidon joined forces to flatten Hades. Lord Pluto was unable to use this magic bottle, so Xiaoming did not get this news. Otherwise, this treasure can be recognized at a glance. It looks too conspicuous. After taking away the coffin and the magic bottle, the informant went to the palace of the twin gods to search for them. After finding nothing, he went to search in every palace around, hoping to pick up some bargains. However, everyone was obviously poor and left nothing behind. Instead, Xiaoming wasted a lot of time. In fact, the informant came to the Pure Land and took away those two things, which was already a big profit. The system did not think it was necessary to give the player more compensation. After returning to the Wall of Size, Xiaoming finally confirmed that this trip to the Pure Land did not trigger any hidden tasks after all. It is estimated that the conditions were not fully met. When he was able to open the coffin and contact the body of Hades, he would probably be able to activate the hidden task. Of course, the system may continue to play dumb. Wait until the informant destroys the body of Hades or contributes the body to Lord Pluto before finally deciding which hidden task the player has completed. As expected, no matter how Xiaoming chooses to deal with Hades' body, he will get a reward for completing the hidden task in the end. Since there is no new task, the dead person will continue to do the previous task chain, the rebirth of Hades, the Pluto, and let the Hades clothes merge with his ghost one by one. Without further ado, the dead person quickly completed the 7th ring task, Pluto Warrior Recruitment Phase 3. Since this ring task includes Tianmengxing, one of the 3 giants, so it is rated as a red legendary task. The reward is also quite generous. A total of 30,000 points of small universe limit were given to the dead person, and 5 Hades temple cornerstones. Among them, 20,000 points of small universe are system rewards, and another 10,000 comes from a piece of Pandora's soul fragment that was secretly inserted. In addition, Hades also gave Tianmengxing's ghost 10,000 points of small universe limit. Hades has always felt that the magic star of the 3 giants is strong enough and can definitely be reborn. Therefore, rewarding Tianmengxing's small universe is nothing more than making his confidence stronger. By the way, after obtaining 30,000 points of the upper limit of the microcosm recognized by the system, the upper limit of the microcosm of the deceased officially exceeded 100,000. It reached the lowest level of the Gold Saints. Unfortunately, there is no such title and level among the Hades Saints, and the title of the deceased is still the Commander-in-Chief of the Hades Saints. Then 2 stages of the Hades Saints recruitment task were completed. Among the 24 new Hades Saints, the Sphinx of the Sky Beast Star guarding the 2nd prison and the Jackal of the Sky Sin Star guarding the 4th prison were the leaders. Their strength can be ranked in the forefront among the Hades Saints of the Tiangang Star. In addition, the 3 batches also included the Deadly Beetle of the Sky Ugly Star guarding the 5th prison, the Golem of the Sky Horn Star guarding the 3rd prison, and his deputy, the Cave Giant of the Sky Defeat Star. The 3 of them can become the guards of the 8 hells, which shows that their own strength is also good, but not outstanding. The addition of these Hades Saints has greatly alleviated the problem of insufficient manpower in the underworld, and the first few hells have decent people guarding them. It finally looked better. Hades said that since there were so many Hades warriors, the underworld should be renovated. Otherwise, dozens of Hades warriors would have to sleep in the ruins. Hades City in the human world is very prosperous, but all Hades warriors cannot be pulled to the human world. The main force must remain in the underworld. But there are only 2 buildings in the underworld that can be used now. One is the Hades Palace that still stands in the Judah Ring, the other is the 1st prison underworld court that was just repaired 2 days ago. Hades will definitely not give up his palace for his men to live in. He is not so kind. And there are always a large number of dead souls being judged in the underworld court, and the sound of crying and shouting for injustice is endless. No one can sleep well here. So in the 10th ring of the task chain, there is a task called Underworld Construction 1. This task introduces a measurement standard called construction degree, which requires the accuser to increase the construction degree of the underworld by 100 points. There must be at least 10 primary Hades temples. Xiaoming tried and built a most common primary Hades temple in a remote corner of the underworld. It does not belong to any demon star. This temple can only increase the construction degree by 3 points. So Hades is encouraging Hades warriors to build palaces belonging to demon stars, which can not only increase the construction degree, but also make the underworld look particularly prosperous. The more Hades temples in the underworld and the more palaces on demon stars, the more they can attract a large number of undead to believe in themselves and dedicate faith points to themselves. God always needs believers. To be honest, the task of building the underworld was not originally included in this legendary task chain. It should be a matter of course, and it should have been completed by believers without the King of Hell asking for permission. Why do I say that? Because the accuser had recruited a total of 60 Hades warriors in 5 consecutive stages. The system could not have imagined that these Hades warriors were all clones of one person. Normally, these are 60 players/free NPCs/arms NPCs. They will each receive independent small tasks, requiring them to build a temple belonging to their own demon planet. As long as half of them complete the task, the construction degree will have increased by more than 100, a scene of prosperity. Players compete with each other, and NPCs will also compete to please the gods they believe in. They will compete with each other to build a more magnificent temple. The construction degree will only be high, not low, and there is no need to turn this into a task in the task chain. Unfortunately, Xiaoming encountered a cheating player, and he took on all the Hades warriors by himself. So far, Hades has only one serious believer, the accuser of the dead. If the dead don't build, the underworld will always be so ugly. Now that more than half of the Hades warriors have been recruited, the underworld is still in such a shabby state. Hades couldn't stand it anymore, so he forced a mission in.